Hello, everybody, and welcome into the Sports Headline Show. Back with another episode for you guys today. Before we get started, do want to give you guys a quick reminder. Please do make sure you guys hit that like button and subscribe here to the channel. Got a bunch of great content on the way. You've already seen a bunch of it already. Trae Young film breakdown dropped a couple of days ago. Anthony Davis film breakdown, depending on when this gets dropped, is either on the way still or it's already been dropped. So depending on which one that is, make sure you guys go check that out or hit the post notification bell so you know when that comes out. But as you guys know, we've been heavy into some draft stuff recently. We're going to keep that going. I'm bringing on the first guest of Draft Cycling on the channel, my guy Eugene, who's already kind of helped out with a bunch of stuff on the channel. He provided a bunch of great graphics for the Trae Young film breakdown, which was a ton of fun making at the detriment of my own sleep. Student manager at Syracuse and doing a bunch of great stuff with analytics and stuff. You guys can follow him on Twitter as well. I'll make sure I plug his Twitter handle in the description down below. Eugene, man, appreciate you dropping on, man. How you doing, bro?
I'm good, man. Appreciate you having me on. First ever podcast. Excited.
There we go. Before we do get started, I want to give you your flowers as a student manager because I did it for a year at UC, the University of Cincinnati, for anybody that doesn't know. And it's such, and I was like, even during high school, I was our video coordinator / manager, if you will, kind of, right? And it's such a freaking thankless job that, like, I mean, honestly, a lot of college athletics jobs are pretty thankless, but I feel none more than being a student manager and like the stuff you do for analytics side as well. You're freaking killing this. So shout out to you. Just want to give you your flowers. So to start off being a manager.
Yeah, for sure. It's definitely a grind, but it's definitely all worth it if anyone's interested in becoming a manager.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, you just learn like so much from being even you've done it a lot longer than I have. Or
yeah,
I did.
I'm becoming a senior head manager now. It's kind of wild. Been here for 3 years, coaching change.
Yeah.
But you learn so much just being on the court, working with players. If you want to get into coaching, it's definitely like a great place to start, especially if you're not like a former player.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, especially nowadays where there's so many different like coaching head coaches rather that they either started off as a high school coach or they started off as a manager. Like Brad Stevens is the one that I don't think Brad Stevens was a student manager. That's actually the wrong one, but he was a GA. No, he was a volunteer. Right. That was his story. He was a volunteer at Butler. And then his story gets crazy the more you look at it. Yeah, man, I'm trying to think of a student manager one. I'm sure
Dusty
there's
May,
more.
I think, right?
Dusty May. Yeah, there we go. That's a really good one. That I do remember. And I mean, now there's like the high school coach trend, right? Where you have 3 of the 4 Final Four teams were coached by former high school coaches. Obviously, Dan Hurley, Nate Oates, and who was the 4th one? It wasn't. I'm trying to remember who the 3rd one was. I'm trying to remember the teams off the top of my head now. It's not Painter, no, so it's the other one. Who did Bama play? Bama played UConn. So who did Purdue
NC
play?
State coach.
NC State. Yeah, there we go. Maybe that's why we forgot. They were the 11th seed. no, any NC State fan.
State fan. Hey, DJ Burns a beast, man.
Yeah. But no, like you do like pick up a lot. Just like one, like I was there. So my first year was with Wes Miller, right? So my first year was his first year. And the biggest thing I learned from Wes was there were 2 things. One, how he prepared. I think that's easily the biggest thing I took away from like my experience at UC. We talked about this a bit off camera, where like you just learn how like to prepare for a game, even on short notice, just like being there. You're not in I'll speak for personal experience. I was in the film room, but like seeing like how intentional they were about details and stuff during practice and preparing for stuff like that. And then how Wes will like, build relationships with players. Like his players love him. Like I never heard a bad word about Wes Miller. So before we get into the draft stuff, and I apologize for any people that want us to skip, I do want to get your perspective. What are like some of the things like you've like learned the most from being a manager through your 3 years?
I think like what kind you touched on too, like college basketball is like a 24-hour sport now, pretty much. Like the season ends and literally like the biggest thing I've learned so far is the transfer portal and how crazy everything is. As soon as the season ends, it's like another season you have to prepare for. So kind of being involved with NIL and all that stuff now and learning from the coaches, actually being in the meeting rooms and understanding how like they talk to players, how they use analytics from my perspective, how like they develop players is very insane to me. And honestly, my first 2 years with Jim Boeheim, obviously a very legendary coach, doing for literally,
that's
I think
awesome.
he coached for 40 something years, and I'm like 20 years. He's like doubled my age in coaching, which is insane. But just seeing how everyone respects him and seeing how everyone prepares for scouts, especially playing 2 games a week, and then when tournament games come, especially like this year we played in Honolulu or Maui or whatever, and seeing how we prepare for scouts for like when we have to play back to back to back games was honestly like very game changing for me. It's kind of cool to learn that, especially as someone who wants to be a coach in the future, right? Understanding how to break down basketball and stuff like that, going through scouting reports, going through film, like you just understand basketball at a deeper level because you're just like hands on it.
Yeah.
And
I think
the job's not like glamorous, right? You're like wipe the floors, you hand players water, but it comes with a trade off. Like you learn so much with it. And I think it's worth it.
Yeah, it's the experience, man. And I don't regret I don't regret leaving because I did leave. So one of somebody I'm really close with got a head coaching job at a pretty good situation in the high school game. He wanted me to go over, so I did. So I don't really regret leaving. The one thing I do regret is the first year I left, they were UC was in the Maui Invitational. Now they didn't play well. But
hey, being in it's cool enough.
Being in it's cool enough. I would have more than likely have went. So I regret that. I was like, damn, is there a way I could just like stay for a week so I could go to Maui and then I could go back to being a high school coach for the rest of the time? Oh man. Last thing before we really crack down on some draft stuff here. There's been this shift in like how people discuss basketball using analytics, something that obviously you're really great at. What's your thought process of like how you view analytics and how you think like analytics is how like that can go hand in hand with basketball? Because I think there's a very strong side of the fence that is nope, analytics is stupid, you're just crunching a bunch of numbers, and there's another side of the fence where it's oh man, analytics is God, and it's literally it's everything, and we are basing every single decision based off analytics. Well, how do you view it?
I think it's like everything in life, man. Like too much of everything is not good, right? I think too much analytics is not good either. I came from an analytics background heavy. I mean, I'm studying sports analytics at Syracuse. I came from a data science background, modeling and stuff like that, and creating projections is what I do. But again, being with Syracuse, working with players individually, I kind of understand that like, hey, it's hard to tell someone to change their whole personal profile based on the numbers. Like, you're not going to go around telling someone to not shoot this shot because it's a bad analytic shot when that person has been in the gym for hours and hours working on it.
Yep.
So I take this approach where if I'm working with a player directly, I kind of find a way to talk to them like, hey, like I know you like to take this shot. Like I kind of understand why they want to take this shot because they worked on it and they're good in practice doing it. Why is it not working and not translating in game and kind of analyzing trend by trend? So like, hey, maybe you should get to the rim more, and then like your mid-range jumper to the left would open up more and like creating an easier shot like how you shoot in the gym, like a more less contested shot or a softer defense because you put pressure on the rim or you stretch out the three. You're such a good shooter to start at the game, like gain confidence by doing that first, then go to your like shot that you worked on. It's not necessarily a bad shot for you. This is how you can just make it a more efficient shot. So I feel like communication of analytics is probably like the next step in this evolution because analytics is at a place where it's like you can create many cool things with it, but how do you translate to on court stuff is trying to like a bridge I want to get like be the bridge of, and I think it's the next step for the future too. Just that,
yeah. And I do want to add on to a point you made about like you kind of touched on like mid range jumpers and stuff like that. You have I don't even want to use the word extremist, but you have like some systems, and there are cases where it works, right? I mean, Nate Oates, right?
Yeah,
5 out,
Alabama.
run and gun. We are not shooting. You shoot a damn mid range jumper. It is you're not touching the court. Like they don't shoot mid range jumpers at all, right? And it works for them. And I think one, it just comes down to personal preference, obviously, right? And Nate Oates comes from he was a math teacher. Not surprised he's a big analytics dude. But I like how you described it, like, hey, if you're good at this, all right, cool. Well, let's see how we can like help you get even better and leverage it to help out some of your other stuff. And I think I think personally for me, it's more of a happy balance, right? Because my ideology, if you will, is if Eugene is a good mid-range shooter, I think personally, this is just how my brain thinks. I would be a bad coach if I said, Eugene, do not shoot mid-range jumpers because analytically it's a bad shot. I want to lean into what my players are good at. Now, if 100%. You're not a good mid-range shooter and you don't work on it, then absolutely not don't shoot it because it is a bad shot, analytically speaking. But if you're a good player, it's like it's like telling Kevin Durant, don't shoot a mid-range jumper. Come on, dog. What are we doing here?
Like, I mean, the Thunders, they're a good three-point shooting team, but their two best players, Shea and Jalen, operate in the mid-range, and they're so freaking good at it. So, like, why tell them to stop?
Yeah,
I think Nate Oates is a little different because they hunt for players in the portal or they recruit players who shoot a lot of threes or attack the rim a lot. So they create personnel to fit their system. So that makes sense.
Which is smart.
And I mean, that's what you do. And I think that's where people get the misconception of, oh, no, Alabama shoots a lot of threes. No, all their personnel are people who are good at shooting threes and getting to the rim.
Yeah. And it just kind of goes hand in hand. So one, Nate Oates is playing into like, hey, look, I don't want us to shoot mid-range. And to do that, okay, we're going to go get all these dudes that are elite three-point shooters and good paint touch guys. And technically, I'm still playing into my players' strengths. That's a really, really good point.
Yeah, and they're in the Final Four, so.
Yeah, they just ran into the juggernaut that is UConn that had one of the most insane stretches ever.
I don't think people are talking enough about UConn this year, even though like they're the national champion, of how insane this like stretch they are having is.
Yeah, and even though they're going to have like 2 top 10 picks probably.
Yeah, so they're an insane team.
They're insane. But all right, let's get into some of this draft stuff here. Let's start off with a fun one here. So we got some topics here, and this is gonna be really cool even for me. I'm sure for you as well. When you get to draft night, be able to go back at this. It's still like, this is what I thought about this player then. We are still really, really early into like the pre-draft process. The NCAA tournament obviously just ended. So like there's still a lot of film that can be examined. I know like I've only done one mock draft. I haven't even done a full big board yet. So like this could be fun the week before the draft. I go back and watch this episode and say, yeah, Sean, you're probably wrong about this. But first thing first, we're gonna do a My Guys draft. So what I mean by My Guys is these are the guys. We're gonna each pick like a top 4, if you will. And how basically all My Guy is, this is the guy that you are pounding the table for, maybe more than others, right? Which is why it is a My Guy. You are pounding the table for this guy. And I have a feeling Eugene's going to take at least 2 of my picks because that's just how my luck works.
Okay. We can go about it. You want me to start with the picks?
Yeah, go ahead. You got first pick.
Yeah, it is an honor. Definitely Alex Sarr for my first pick. I think 7'1", watch his tape, the way he moves, he's not the most efficient guy if you like go to his stats, but like just the fact that he's 7'1", long, lanky, athletic, can fit into any system, defender. Like the insane defender. I mean, I wouldn't like obviously French too, so like the Victor comparison is right there. But I mean, if he can get the shot going, like
I've seen a bunch of Jaren Jackson Jr. That's been the more popular one I've seen.
Yeah, that too. But he's definitely more of a 4 than a center, to be honest. Yeah. But also, like the NBA is moving towards direction of like positionless. Alex Sarr is definitely my first overall pick this year.
He is a stud. Okay, so My Guys. Let me pull up my list here.
for sure.
Okay, I feel like this guy, maybe it's because he's been hurt recently. I think he was hurt in January, so maybe I don't want to say his stock fell off. I feel like we're not talking about him enough. And it's Nikola Topic from I love his game, man. I turn on his tape, and like one of my biggest, I don't even want to use the word pet peeve, but one of the things that you find really, really common with young guards, like he's 18 years old, is that they more often than not shy away from contact at the rim. And Nikola Topic is, no, I am embracing all this contact at the rim. I'm going to finish over you at the rim. And this while like not being the shiftiest dude, the most athletic dude, he processes the game so freaking well, man. He's my number one guard on my board currently. I freaking love Nikola Topic.
Yeah, I like that. I haven't watched a lot of like European basketball or Nikola Topic specifically. That's when
see,
like,
already messed up names.
Yeah. Yeah, we laughed about this off camera. We are both terrible at names. But no, yeah, I need to watch him more, especially throughout the process. Maybe he'll rise up on my draft board, but he's definitely a guy who I've been kind of keeping tabs on.
Yeah. Who's your second pick?
I think I'll go Cody Williams, man. I think I'm gonna go with upsides on this one. I mean, I think at times this year at Colorado, he played too efficient, if that's even a thing.
Yeah, no,
like
I know what you mean.
His numbers are incredible for a guy who barely had any usage, and I wish he would attack more. And I think he could. I think he has the ability to be a great ball handler. You can see like flashes of it. I mean, he's sneaky athletic. He's long. He's honestly perfect to be a more modern 2 or modern 3 in this era. Like he could potentially be better than his brother, which is kind of insane to say.
Yeah, I think
the upside is like the pick I'm going for.
And I've seen some big boards and mocks that have Cody Williams falling to like 10. And I'm still in the middle of my evaluation. Like literally as we speak today, I was watching his I was going through the Marquette game. I was starting to get through a couple of other games. And I'm like, this is the guy who got going 10 overall. And you could tell coming back from the injury, he wasn't all the way like right at the start. But dog, man, like the upside, like you talked about, he has legit playmaking upside too, as like a point wing, if you will. I like Cody Williams a lot.
Yeah, I think sneaky 50, 40, 90 guy too, especially like the efficiency he had this year.
Yeah, that's a really, really good pick. All right, I'm gonna go with this guy, and I promise I'm gonna get away from guards eventually. Jared McCain. I freaking love Jared McCain. He is.
I had him on my thing.
He is so freaking good to me, dude. I think he doesn't get enough credit for his ability as a playmaker because he's at Duke, where like Tyrese Proctor isn't the most efficient shooter. So to negate that, they put Proctor a lot more on ball. Same with like Caleb Foster and some of the other guys they got. And Jared McCain, because he's such a freaking lights out shooter, they put him off the ball and made him. I mean, and that's fine. He is an elite shooter, but that lends to him getting comped to guys like Seth Curry. I'm like, I don't get behind that at all. I think it was Kevin O'Connor that compared him to Seth Curry. I'm like, absolutely not. And he's gonna get picked on because of his size, but he's a competitive dude defensively. Lights out shooter, was balling out in the NCAA tournament, 2 30-point games, shot like 14 and 26 from 3. He's a stud. I have I want to say a late lottery grade right now on Jared McCain. I have a top 20 grade because I do think there's a world where he does slip, but yeah, I love Jared McCain.
Yeah, I mean, being in the ACC, I scout him, watch him all the time. We played him against this year too. We were in the game with him. I remember it was like a 2 possession game the entire time Duke was up, but then they came out of timeout. They had 2 fast breaks. Jared McCain hit 2 transition threes. Then I think he hit another one maybe, and like that just blew the game open. And then I think we lost by double digits. But he has that ability to just catch fire at any time. Again, he's one of those guys where I'm like, he might play a little too efficient at Duke just because they had so many options to go to. And I wish like when they played, who did they play after Houston in the tournament? Oh,
NC State.
NC State. I wish they went to McCain more in the second half.
Yeah.
He was killing. And it's another problem I have with college basketball, but we don't need to get into that. But McCain's really good, man. And he's a very good defensive rebounder.
Yeah.
So
he's a really good finisher too.
Yeah. He plays very physical I know he gets a lot of stuff on for painting his nails and stuff, but on the court, he's a dog, man. He's really
Paint your nails all you want. Play good basketball, we have no issues.
Yeah, he's a dog.
And you make the point about, I think I get what you're saying now about like, I kind of did, especially with Cody Williams, but I really get it with Jared McCain. Like he plays almost too efficient because of what they have. You almost wish Jared McCain was in a spot where he was the guy, where he could be like, okay, we're going to get you all the on-ball reps. We'll still get the off-ball stuff, but we're going to really see you in an on-ball role where you're going to have some nights where you shoot 6 for 16 or something and the shot isn't falling and stuff like that.
Yeah, imagine I think he would excel in that role because he excelled in the off-ball role. And I think beginning of the year it was like a whole thing where John Shire wanted to get McCain to be more aggressive because he wanted to play off people. He kind of made like the right decision too often. So sometimes they wanted him to take a bad shot, but it was a good shot for him.
Yeah.
So yeah, I think Jared McCain's gonna be and if you're Seth Curry, that's a vet in the league.
That's a 14-year, I think 14-year, like a 14-year vet. So I'm not knocking Seth Curry. I just think the comp is a little off.
Yeah, the comp's a little, but if you're that, I think that's a great pick for late lottery.
Yeah.
Very good value.
Yeah.
My guys on my third pick, I kind of went a little off here. I went with the guy who slipped a lot this year, Isaiah Collier. Started off the year. That's your. Hey, you take one of mine, I take one of yours. He started off the year in the top 5. Now he's slipped a lot after the injury, which is weird to say because I think he started off the year slower, and when he came back from the injury, he played a lot better.
Way better.
You can just tell he played with a lot more control. Every time he drive to the paint, at the beginning of the year, he didn't really have any plan. You can see he plays out 2, kicks it out. Pretty good playmaker too, and plays off the pick and roll pretty well. That USC system just probably took a while for anyone to figure out. They have very high quality guards everywhere and not enough bigs. So honestly, to cut him some slack, I think he'll probably go after the 10 picks now, but he's top 10 talent to me, especially in this year's draft.
I think, and I brought this up in my top 10 guards video, which click the link right there for anybody watching to go check that out. And I think, and you brought this up, there is a night and day difference between Isaiah Collier pre-injury and post-injury. And that's why I said, you got to give him his flowers, because I think for a young player to kind of deal with the mental part of crap, I'm injured, crap, I haven't played well, and to okay, let's get into the film, let's get in the lab or whatever, and to come back and you use the word control and just having a plan in mind. I thought the game, I saw it finally clicked for Isaiah Collier, where his decision-making was so much freaking better once he got back. He's already this insane finisher. And I think you sent me a stat or something along those lines, and correct me if I'm wrong. He's a 68% finisher when he gets to play off of 2 feet, which is freaking insane.
Yeah, it's nuts.
I'm what?
His build, man, he's like a tank.
I said he was I didn't have a comp for him at first. I was legit gonna put for my pro comp running back, because from neck down, he is a running back.
Yeah, facts. He's a lot taller than you think, but he's built so strong that it looks like he's shorter, which he's not. Man, he's a really good player, and that shoulder bump he has, that's gonna translate to the league, or his hang time too. He's a very athletic guard, so his shot needs a little work, obviously, but honestly, he didn't shoot bad. He was open from 3. I think open catch and shoot 3s. He shot 36%. That's not bad at all. Obviously, on pretty low attempts, I'm assuming, but I could be wrong on that number, by the way, because that's just off the top of my head.
On catch and shoot threes on this season overall, he shot 37%. Again, really low volume, only 46 attempts. On uncontested catch and shoot threes for just 28 attempts, he shot 39.3%.
Oh yeah, even better for him. So
Yeah.
I mean, low volume, but you gotta remember he was injured, and plus, like, when you're not a great shooter and you're such a great finisher like Collier, just go to the rim.
I think, and two things I've said about this draft class, and I know we'll kind of touch on this class as a whole a little bit later on, is that one, this year's draft is so much more about fit, probably more than ever. And then two, the pre-draft process is going to matter so much more this season. Like getting these guys actually in the building and seeing them work out. Because if I'm in an NBA team, I look at, and this is just energy, right? I'm not in the gym with these guys, but I see the low volume of catch and shoot data. But then I go look at his pick and roll 3-point shooting too. He's again low sample size, but he's a 40% pick and roll 3-point shooter this season. And I'm like, okay, let's bump that volume up. And if you're still a 35% shooter on instead of 25 attempts, 75 attempts, you're a 35% 3-point shooter on ball screens. I will take that, and I'm drafting you in the top 10.
Yeah, that's like what 1.0 something points per possession, which is off a pick and roll. Like that's pretty good.
Yeah. Now he had some turnover problems, which we already talked about. Like his turnover percentage on ball screens is 21.8%, which is obviously not great. But like I love Isaiah Collier, legitimately.
Yeah,
man. He's awesome. My third pick, you know what? I'm gonna stick with guards, and this is definitely more out there. Is definitely way more out there. I'm gonna go with AJ Mitchell. I'm gonna go with AJ Mitchell from UC Santa Barbara. I do have a second round grade on him though, but I legitimately I kind of saw some flashes of like Andrew Nimhard, where I think his scoring versatility is gonna make him really, really easy for at the next level. He can create for himself out of pick and rolls. He can finish at the rim, has the mid-range jumper, can knock down threes. He's not a really, really good athlete, in my opinion. I think he's an adequate athlete, but he lives off paint touches. Like 41% of his shots in the half court were at the rim, fit 60% clip while doing that. And I think he has the frame and he competes to be able to be a good enough defender at the next level. So I'm gonna go AJ Mitchell. I had a really, really fun time diving into some of his tape.
Yeah, honestly, good to hear about him because I barely watch him, to be honest. Like done a little stuff on him, but haven't had time to obviously watch UC Santa Barbara this year.
Yeah.
Well, if I get a chance, I'll check him out. But second round grade seems fair for him. Honestly, like this year's draft, like as you said, like drafting for fit more than just potential.
Yeah.
I kind of went up there for my last pick too, but another guy from the ACC. I'm going with Carlton Carrington or Bob Carrington.
Okay, I haven't watched
Guard
them.
from Pitt.
So go ahead. I'm curious what your thoughts are about Carrington.
Only reason I chose him was because when he came to the Dome, there was this 2-play he made back to back, and I remember this vividly. He came up the screen on the right side. Literally, it was like a pro move. Came up the screen, attacked the angle, and just shot the 3 and just made it. And I was like, "Yeah, that kid's a pro." Next play after that comes down, Hezzy cross to the right corner, kind of like fader again, same spot, hit the 3, and I was like, "Man, this kid is good." So I went to like look at more numbers. He's pretty good from the mid range too. He doesn't attack the rim at all. His efficiency from 3 is kind of down, but that's also just because like he shoots like 8 a game.
Yeah,
I think I could be wrong on that, but he shoots a lot on very high volume and sometimes a little inconsistent. There's games where he like doesn't make a shot, and there's some games where he like goes 8 for 8. Like he's when he gets more consistent, I can see him being. I don't really have a player comp for him. It's just the fact that I saw those 2 plays, and I actually just fell in love with like him.
Yeah, I am really, really excited to dive into his tape. I thought he was returning back, so maybe that's scouter blunder on me. So I didn't even watch him preparing for my top 10 guards video because I'm like, hey, if all indication was he was going back, it felt like, and he's declaring for the NBA draft. So yeah, gonna dive into him for sure now. I am a fan of So the little stuff I have seen, like some highlights and stuff like that, I do like Carrington a lot.
Yeah. Very good shooter.
Yeah. Speaking of very good shooters, I don't know if this I'm just gonna say don't connect. And from Tennessee, obviously had an incredible NCAA tournament run. They lose in the Elite Eight to Purdue, who obviously goes on to the national championship game. But I remember texting you once I was done grading Don Connect. I was like, dude, he's freaking awesome. And one thing I do also love about what they did was how they got him the ball was really, really fun. Like they ran good stuff for him where it's not just, hey, we're going to run you off of a pin downs and staggers and stuff like that. We're going to give you the opportunity to, play out of ball screens, go create one-on-one. He is a sneaky athlete too. Like I think there's a lot of times people say, how is the athleticism going to translate to that? He's an NBA athlete, like legitimately. I'm not concerned about the athleticism at all. I think he competes defensively. And it's hard. I think he's just about good at almost everything. You have to really nitpick, I think, with Don Connect and say, all right, he's legitimately not good at this. I think you have to really nitpick with a guy like Don Connect, and I'm a fan for sure.
Yeah, I agree. He's especially like with his background too. It's kind of impressive that Tennessee got him.
Yeah,
but he's a really good player, and he's going to be a really good pro for probably a really long time. I mean, you know what you're going to get with him, and I think his shot can honestly get better too.
Yeah,
with like a pro style offense, like with more spacing and not being guarded by the best defender all the time. Like he might be more efficient.
Yeah. And let's have some fun here, Eugene. Let's transition and let's go and let's draft here and build out our starting fives here using this draft class. I'm curious where we go with this one.
Okay,
I'll let you get the first pick again. I'm curious here. Where are we going?
Well, since I went first last time, it's gonna be the same guy for me. Alex Sarr is my first overall pick, man.
Reasonable. Alex Sarr first. Okay. I think I'm just going to naturally combat that and just take Donovan Clingan. Get big out of the way. I'm just get get that taken care of. Give me Donovan Clingan to combat Alex Sarr.
This is gonna be so boring, but I feel like I have to. I'm going with Cody after this too.
Damn it! I thought about Cody first. I was like, wait, let me just
see. I knew if I don't pick him now, he's gonna be gone by the next pick. So I feel like I have to at this point.
Okay. You know what? Then next, I'm going to take Ron Holland, who I think is so freaking good. I'm not done with my eval for Ron Holland yet either. But I really, really love his game, man. I think you put him in a spot where he can really grow and not be the guy right away and kind of grow into that role. I think he can. I mean, there's a comp, and I did look at this to kind of like give me an idea before I started watching. Somebody said Cam Whitmore. And I loved Cam Whitmore last cycle, right? I think I loved him a little bit more than some other people did. I had Cam Whitmore fourth on my board. My top five last year was Wemby. It was Wemby, Scoop, Brandon Miller, Cam Whitmore, and Amen Thompson. That was my top five. And of course, the Rockets end up with 4 and 5 on my board. But I love Ron Holland. I do love Ron Holland, so add him into my my starting five.
Yeah, I like that, actually. I think he has a very high potential in the league, too.
Yeah.
Especially with less usage, too, and not having to do so much.
Yeah. He had a stretch of games where he went nuts, but I mean,
I think his shot, like his form's not bad looking, too. He can definitely develop that.
Yeah.
My third pick. Yeah, it's getting hard. I don't know what to pick, to be honest with you. I think I'm gonna go with your guy. I'm gonna go with Nikola Topic.
Topic. Who knows?
Topic. Yeah.
We'll figure it out before draft night for sure.
For sure, yeah. I'll eventually learn.
That's a scary trio so far. Like just Topic,
Yeah.
Cody, and Alex R.
Mhm.
All right, so we got Ron, we got Klingon. I'm just gonna get a guy then that just plays the right way, and I'm gonna give him the spot to like be my one. I'm gonna go Reed Shepherd.
Okay.
Just a do everything guy on offense. Insane playmaker. I think his processing speed, just in terms of like making certain reads, is NBA level for sure. I think he's the second best playmaker in this draft behind your guy Topic.
Yeah.
And really good finisher. He's another guy I think we're starting to get to the point of like he's so efficient where it's like it's not even believable.
Yeah. I think his numbers are like all time like efficient, right? Something
We're
about his like
talking like
3-point shooting or
55,
something.
50. It's insane.
Yeah, it's
It's
insane.
insane.
Yeah.
Oh man.
That's a really
So
good
quick
pick.
3 picks in. Eugene is with Nikola Topic, Cody Williams, and Alexander Sarr. I got Reed Shepherd, Ron Holland, and Donovan Klingon.
Fourth pick. I have two options for this actually. I'm definitely gonna go with shooting for this pick. I'm just trying to think
Yeah.
of like building a starting five right now.
Yep.
And I think I'm going Delta and Connect. I know just picking your guys, but
Okay.
I feel like for this starting five, I feel like Connect just fits this mold perfectly. We have a playmaker, we have a scorer in Cody too. Add another scorer and Connect at the 2 or the 3, or even the 4 sometimes. Like that's a pretty solid like backcourt or front, whatever it is.
Yeah. I'm also between two players here that we have not talked about yet. All right. I'm just gonna do this because I just think it makes too much sense and he deserves to get drafted. I'm gonna go. Oh wait, no, I also probably need some shooting. No, I read. All right. I'm actually lower on this guy. I think this could also be a fun conversation. I'm gonna take Jacoby Walter. And I am actually lower on Jacoby Walter.
That's yeah.
I'm gonna take Jacoby.
I love Jacoby.
To be my 2 in theory. So like I said, I'm gonna let Reed get the 1 reps and be the playmaker. And look, he's lower on my board, but for some reason, every time I talk about him, I feel like I convince myself into liking him more. If that makes sense, because like this is where my problem comes up with Jacoby Walter is I think some of the mocks are some of the comps are out there and to me just not. For example, saw somebody compare him to Chris Middleton. We'll say who. I'm like, no, absolutely not. No way. Because if he's Chris Middleton, he's the 2nd overall pick after Alex Sarr. Like,
right,
no,
for sure.
He's not Chris Middleton. I think I'm not in love with the finishing personally, or just like really just the self creation as a whole, right? But I personally, and now this is where I differ from some people. Like some people have like concerns with his defensive ability, and I think at the beginning of the year there were definitely some lapses on the defensive side. But like Big 12 play, NCAA tournament, I'm like, okay, yeah, I can buy into this being the guy that you can run off a billion screens offensively, and the efficiency isn't the best, but dog, he's the shot quality he's getting because of how kind of Baylor ran their offense and how much attention he was getting. I don't really care that I think round up shooting maybe 34%. That's kind of off the top of my head from 3 this season, but I don't buy into him being that bad of a shooter because I watch and look at the quality of shots this game. Like, dog, he's going to get guarded by the 4th best player if he's in the starting 5 and definitely not the best defender. So he's going to get way better looks at the NBA level. He's a legit shooter, and I buy into the defensive upside. Pretty good athlete, too. I just don't like the self-creation ability personally as of right now, which is why I'm a bit lower on Jacoby Walter. But I love him enough to where I'm going to draft him on my team.
I like the pick. I actually really like the pick. If you go back to the Clemson game and the tournament, he was the reason they were in the game. And like honestly, if he hit those, I think 2 free throws, they probably would have won that game.
Mm-hmm.
So very high on Jacoby Walters. I think it was a really good pick for that one. Last pick, I know you picked Klingon, so I kind of need some size to deal with Klingon, especially seeing how he dealt with Edie.
Yeah.
I think I'm gonna pick another Baylor guy. I'm gonna pick Missy.
That's really. I really like Missy to the point where I almost had him. I almost listed him off as one of my guys.
Right.
I talked about him in my mock draft, saying like if the Lakers do get the pick, which it sounds like they are, I'm probably taking Yves Missy.
Yeah,
Like
that'd be great pairing next to AD.
yeah.
That was my
Yeah.
thought behind the Sar and Messi backcourt because I don't see Sar as a center, so rim
Yeah.
protector there, like 7 foot what? It's gonna be hard to score on us, guys.
Yeah. Okay. I'm going to combat that. Then I'm gonna try to, help us out at least. And I don't know if he's actually still staying in the draft or not. I really hope he does because I love him. But I'm gonna go to kind of combat some of the stuff you're doing. I'm gonna go Colin Murray Boyles from South Carolina. Who is I'm a big fan of his defensive upside. I think he has like a really good feel for the game as a playmaker. Not a great offensive player just in terms of like scoring ability or any of that right now, but we have Reed, we have Ron, we have Jacoby even. We'll let Klingon play out of the post and stuff like that. Come in, be a defensive workhorse, be a secondary playmaker for us. And yeah, I like the fit a lot for my team. And I think if he stayed, I think he'd go top 20 to, definitely the first round. I think so. Yeah, that'll be my pick up there. Colin Murray Boyles.
Yeah, honestly, haven't really watched a lot of them, but yeah, I think we got a starting 5, right?
Yeah, there we go. So Eugene was with Nikola Topic, Don Connect,
Cody Williams,
Alex R, Cody Williams. That was your 3. My bad. Cody Williams,
yeah.
Alex R, Yves Missy. My starting 5 was Reed Shepard, Jacoby Walter, Ron Holland, Colin Murray Boyles, and Donovan Klingon. Let us know in the comments down below who had the best starting 5. Not gonna lie, I felt kind of screwed. I was so convinced you were going Alex R at the 5 because I was gonna go smaller in theory and just get more shoot. I was thinking like Zach Ricochet there for my 4th spot. I was thinking, I even thought Maz Buzelis, and I think I'm actually also a little bit lower on Buzelis too. I do like him, but I thought about him. I thought about thought about Tristan Del Siva. But when you went Yves Missy, I was like, damn it. All right. So we're going to do this then.
Yeah. I actually was between Connect. I was like, hey, do I put Sar at the 5? Because I was choosing between Connect and McCain. If I picked McCain, I'd probably push Sar to the 5. But I was like, nah. I'm going to go big because like Sar can move. So I'm like, this team can go up and down, can shoot the ball, really. So I'm not and like I think we have everything that like you need to win in this modern NBA.
The one guy I want to shout out, and I really considered picking him because I love him, Stephon Castle. I felt so bad for not picking him. I love him. He's going to be a really, really good player. But sorry. Love you. All right. Eugene, so there's a lot of talk with this draft class about it being the worst draft class in NBA history. And every time I hear this, I kind of roll my eyes internally. I'm like, okay, is it the most star-studded class? No. But I think saying this is the worst draft class of all time is a bit hyperbolic. And it's kind of unfortunate because this is the draft class following Victor Wembanyama, Brandon Miller, Amin Thompson. You're following that class. And you're preceding Cooper Flagg's draft class in 2025. Is this the worst draft class of all time, in your opinion?
I don't think so. I think we have solid guys who are going to be in the league for a very long time. Plus, like, again, like you said, this draft is sandwiched in the middle of 2 like incredible prospect in Cooper Flagg and Victor. And plus, like last year's draft, I'm pretty sure the top 5 picks, like, I feel like everyone like has shown potential. I know Scoot is like struggled a little bit, but the flashes are there with him.
Yeah.
So like I feel like it's a little unfair to name this like the worst draft class of all time. We have some talented players in this, man.
Yeah. And the way I describe, like, again, is this going to be the draft class where you look back and there's 12 all-stars? No, right? I don't think so. But if you look back on this draft class in a couple of years, so you got 25 starters / really freaking good rotation players, that's, I mean, 25 maybe is a lot, but you get my point, right? Like, this is, in the right situation, a draft class where there's a bunch of dudes that are going to come in, compete, and be at worst really, really good role players. And there's a few of them that have, that superstar upside, even if you want to go that far. Like Sar, I mean, really, it's the guys we talked about already, like Sar, Cody Williams, Ron Holland. Like, I mean, and that's where I go back earlier and I say fit is so important in this draft class, because I think you need to be put in the right situation now more than ever to be able to really tap into that ability. There's a couple of guys too. Like, I think Rob Dillingham in the right situation, I've said I think he could turn into Tyrese Maxey right now. In order to get to that situation, he needs to be in a spot where he can get lead ball handler minutes, right? And that's why I said if he doesn't get the opportunity, he's going to be, to me, like Malik Monk-esque, right? Where he's just this microwavable scorer off the bench that is going to be in the league for a long freaking time because he's such a good shot maker. And I forget what game I was watching. I don't even think I was like trying to watch Rob Dillingham, but I'm watching a game and Rob Dillingham just goes on this 11-0 run. It felt like this. And there was a game. I think a game the previous day before I watched Rob, and it was the Kings versus the Grizzlies. And the Grizzlies had the game in the wraps. The Grizzlies should have won that game. Goes to overtime. And Malik Monk legitimately comes out and scores the first 10 points.
Yeah.
Like, dog, just microwavable score, insane. So I think it kind of gets a bit unfortunate and unlucky that it's sandwiched, like you said, in between Victor Wembanyama and Cooper Flagg and the other list of insane, talented draft prospects in that 2025 class. So I think this class just has bad luck, honestly.
For sure. I mean, I see some stars here. I mean, Klingon probably going to end up being a modern day, like, he's a perfect modern day 5. Messi's athletic, like, he's literally like probably going to be what Derek Lively is to the Mavericks for another team.
Yeah.
Some other guys, like, I mean, there's high upsides. And again, Cody, Sar, the guys we talked about, like, it's not a bad draft at all. It's just people are overreacting, I think.
Stephon Castle, like, the jumper is consistent. Like, that is two-way star for sure. I mean, maybe Jacoby Walter turns into Chris Middleton, and I'm just an idiot, and there's another star for you. Like, there is upside here. It's not.
Yeah.
It's just not
Cooper Flagg and
Wemby. Yeah, right. Exactly. Yeah. But that's unfair.
There's nothing wrong with that. Yeah.
It's a
being good.
Right. There's nothing wrong being so when did becoming a 15-year pro become a bad thing?
Yeah, I feel like people get like, why are we like trying to say, oh, his lowest upside is Malik Monk? Like, that's a really good thing. He's been in the
that's a really good player.
Basketball. Yeah,
that's a good player.
And he has generational wealth. Like, he'll be fine.
He'll be just fine. He's gonna get the bag this summer too. Like, bro, he's gonna win 6th Man of the Year. Trust me, Malik Monk is doing very well right now.
For sure, yeah.
And last thing, that's why I changed my word. I don't know why my headphones were freaking staying. I keep readjusting them. That's why I've started to reword my comp for Rob Dillingham instead of saying low end comp, because like if your low end is Malik Monk, you are living.
Yeah, you're low end Jordan Clarkson, Malik Monk, even Cam Thomas. Like, you're in the league. Ooh, that's playing like 20 a game.
Right.
You're playing a lot of minutes a game.
Like, come on, man. So this is a fun question, just in terms of like evaluating process and stuff like that, and I guess like team building, if you will. So, how much do you think a player's inability to shoot from the perimeter, how much should that like scare you off or like dissuade you from a player? So, like, I think a really, really good example of this is like Stephon Castle this year. I don't even want to use the word inability, because I think these guys can shoot. It's like the inability to do it like efficiently or like looking comfortable doing it, if that makes sense. think a good example from last year's draft is like obviously like the Thompson twins. I went with like Anthony Black, another guy I really freaking loved last year, who I think was 6th on my board last year. Yeah. So what are your thoughts on that?
I think there's 2 ways I look at this. It's funny enough that you asked like the analytics questions to begin with. Analytically speaking, there's a lot of big correlation between free throw shooting at a high volume in college to 3-point like success in the NBA. I think if you shoot 75 on like 4 or more attempts in college, you're going to end up with like a league average efficiency in the league. So that's like some analytic things I did in the past. But the more stuff I look at is honestly touch. Like, are there, as weird as it sounds, like how they finish at the rim, like especially on like a hard drive, like are they able to like put finesse on it, or even at the like looking at their shot, how they miss is probably more important to me than Aussie sometimes their form, because a lot of it is if your form is solid and it's just about transfer of energy, or the opposite where you transfer energy of good, but it's just like your upper body. Like I feel like stuff like that can work on it, but I feel like touch and feel for the like ball and like make it a softer touch is something like that's not like easily teachable. And especially your bigger guys like Alex Sarr, for example, like you can see the smoothness and you can see the soft touch at the rim, and that's why I think he can probably develop a shot later on in his career.
Yeah. Yeah, that's a really good point. And if you're a legitimately like good basketball player, and right, this is I guess probably the coach in me, I guess, and like the shooting is the weakness. I don't even want to use the word that like I can fix it, but if I'm an NBA team, I'll be like, all right, you know what, just let's get a good basketball player in the door, and we'll figure it out later, right? Like
yeah, 100%.
I'm just gonna trust my player development program. We're gonna get you in here because you like again in Castle's case, for example, or let's use Anthony Black, better example. Insane pick and roll player last season. Great playmaker, great defender, freak athlete. Maybe freak athlete's a bit much, but like really good athlete, right? Kind of matches up with Castle to some degree. Like freak defender, great athlete, good finisher, etc. In the shot, he seems he's gotten way more comfortable with it the second half of the season.
Right.
So okay, let's just get you in the gym. Let's get more reps. Let's see what we got to tweak, and we'll go from there. But I'm just gonna take the bet of you being a really good basketball player, which you are.
Right. I think Anthony Black is shooting like 39% from 3, right, this year?
Is he?
So, like, yeah, I think it's something like that. It's higher than league average. I remember the last time checking it.
Let me see right quick.
But, like, I'm agreeing with you on your take that, like, if you're a good basketball player and you have the work ethic, like, I don't see why you can't develop a shot. Like, if you're just constantly in the gym shooting it, like, I feel like a lot of it is mental too. Like if you have a good mindset, if you work on it, like eventually your shot's going to start falling.
Yeah. Anthony Black is shooting 39%, not a ton of volume there, but 92% on the season. But I mean, not 92%, 92 threes taken on the season. Yeah. But like, again, I will take that and we'll just get you in here and we'll work on it. And I'm going to trust my player development program. And if it doesn't work out, it doesn't work out. I think it was one of the no ceilings guys. I think I forget who, but they tweeted something out the other day that I laughed at. They were like, if Scotty Barnes can go from where he was at Florida State to taking like 4.5 threes per game now and being pretty all right at it, anybody can develop a jumper.
Exactly. Like you're not drafting Anthony Black because you're gonna like fall in love with his shooting. You're drafting him because everything else. And if he has a shot with that, like that just opens up his game more to do what he does best, which is like playmaking and playing defense at a high level.
Yeah. So draft good NBA or draft good players. That is essentially
hard workers and good players.
Yeah. Like dog. It's not that hard. All right. So to kind of wind down here, I was thinking we do another, I don't even want to use the word draft, but let's kind of just discuss. It's not really a draft. We can kind of just go maybe back and forth here. What are our favorite player / team fits, right? Where this player in this situation is gold in our opinions. It's not a draft. We could just name off maybe 3 or so of our favorite player / team fits. So Eugene, what are we thinking?
Yeah, for sure. I've been going first for a couple of times, so honestly, you have this one for first.
All right. I'm going to go Dominic Klingon with the Memphis Grizzlies. I think that is just it. I love that fit so much. I mocked it in my most recent mock draft, but that team coming back then, which by the way, like that team's going to be scary next year.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh. You gave Memphis a top 10 pick with Ja Morant, who's a superstar still. I think people are starting to disrespect him now because he's been hurt in the suspension crap or whatever off the court.
Right.
Like, he's a superstar. Desmond Bane.
Yeah.
I think a blessing in disguise for Memphis actually this season has been the young guys have really got to be able to like step up and make a name for themselves. Like I think Gigi Jackson, Vince Williams, like their wing. They still have Marcus Smart back there too. Like I legitimately, and I know Desmond Bane's a starter, but just picture a lineup like this, Eugene. Ja Morant, Marcus Smart, Vince Williams, Jaren Jackson Jr., Dominic Klingon as a 5-man grouping. I don't know how you score on that lineup.
Damn. That front court's insane, and you have that back court's good too.
Right. I mean, and then he has like just really, really good touch and really, really good feel for the game as well, where he can be, like you said, that modern day big and make decisions as well from the elbow extended or out of like delay action and stuff like that. So I'm in love with the fit. And I mocked it to the Grizzlies, excuse me, in my first mock draft. Yeah.
Yeah, funny enough, I actually have Klingon to the Grizzlies too. I think that fit is like the perfect like puzzle piece, like the end. That team's gonna be scary next year in the West too. The West is just scary, man.
I might draft Klingon even if I don't need him. If I'm one of these other teams that picks out of Memphis, right. just to be petty and say nope, we are not giving the Memphis Grizzlies Donovan Klingon. That is giving Thanos the last Infinity Stone. Damn it, we're gonna take a stand and not allow that to happen.
Nah, if I was a GM in the West, I might do that actually, depending on who it is, because like a lot of teams in the West could probably use another big. But I think I have our guy here, Stephen Castle, going to the Nets. I like the fact that I feel like he can work on his shot there. He's probably going to be the main like 2 guys there, so he can get majority of the ball handling duties. He can figure out the league, adjust that pace as fast as he can because he's going to get the volume. The Nets need a playmaker, really. They need a lot of things actually, but I feel like just for his development's sake, like being the guy somewhere is probably good for Castle.
Yeah. I'm sorry, you had him landing where again? I'm sorry.
The Nets.
Okay. Ooh, okay. Okay. That's interesting. All right. Next player fit. Let me see. Hold on one sec. Let's go with Let me see if I can find like my most recent mock to help. All right. My next one here, my next, best fit for both team and player, if you will. I'm gonna go with Isaiah Collier for New Orleans. If the Pelicans were to pick, I don't think they are, but if they were going to pick, this is, I think, a dream spot. Another pick I think I did actually wind up mocking because this is a spot where you can let Isaiah Collier come in, not have to play right away in terms of like getting lead guard minutes. He can sit behind CJ McCollum and really learn in that role. And then in a year, when CJ McCollum continues to, age, if you will, you let Isaiah sit behind him for a year. And holy hell, we have Isaiah Collier and Zion Williamson pick and roll with the floor spaced out. And you have the freaking freight train of Isaiah Collier with the human rocket launcher, if you will, and Zion Williamson. Like, how do you guard that?
Yeah, you can't with Jesus. They got Jordan Hawkins too.
Trey Murphy.
Yeah, that team got Herb Jones.
The
Pelicans got a really good team.
Yeah.
Damn. Yeah, I can see that. I was thinking for the Pelicans, just more shooting on the point, to be honest, just for Zion, just have like the biggest floor spacer. Yeah. I was thinking Jared McCain for me, but I can see the Isaiah Collier pick.
Yeah.
For me, I'm staying out west still. Actually, I'm going with Houston, and I think their best pick is probably Reed Shepherd, just to
Mm-hmm.
be their point. I mean, you got Reed whenever Dylan Brooks and
Fred.
I'm blanking, Fred is gone. I'm just thinking of a Reed, Cam, Jalen, Jabari, and then
Sengun.
Sengun
Sheesh, man.
lineup, and that's like you got shooting, you got scoring, you got playmaking on that team because like you got Reed and Sengun being the playmaking. That's man, that's a poor man's like Nuggets, honestly.
Yeah. Um. All right. So one more situation here. I'm gonna finally go out east, and I'm gonna
Okay.
address, I guess, a pet peeve of mine with this mock draft cycle is teams
Mm-hmm.
mocking the Chicago Bull or people mocking the Chicago Bulls freaking point guards when they have 6 guards set to
100
return
guards.
next season. Like Lonzo Ball's coming back, Zach LaVine's contract stinks. Like they have a
Yeah.
billion guards. So a really cool landing spot, I think, for Chicago. And I forget if I mocked him there or not. Is the guy we've actually I brought up earlier, and it's Ron Holland, where
Mm.
Ron Holland, go make every mistake in the book that you want to make. We are going to be dog awful this year. Let's freaking, and even if we aren't like just bad or whatever, like who's competing with them in the wing room? I don't think DeMar DeRozan's back, so you can come in right away. We are going to be patient with you. We're gonna let you kind of like come into your role nicely. And I like the idea of Ron Holland next to a Kobe White, a Zach LaVine, and like if it's him and Patrick Williams, with Ron Holland being this insane high upside pick, I like that pickup a lot for the Bulls. And I think
Yeah.
it's a spot where Ron can, like I said, come into his role nicely and really try to maximize the opportunity and turn into why he does have one of the highest ceilings in this class.
Right. I agree with you. Plus, like, I feel like that team just needs something different, and drafting another guard is definitely not something different. Ron Harlan, Ron Holland fits that perfectly for them too. So it's a really good pick by you. My
Yeah.
last one, definitely out east too. Don't know how this is ever going to happen, but the fact that Dalton Connect can end up on the Bucks, just thinking about the
Oh my
fit there,
God.
that would be so
No,
perfect.
that'd
It
be
probably would
so
never.
scary.
It probably would never happen, but I feel like the fit is just too perfect not to mention it.
Yeah. Oh man.
Dame, Chris, 2 or 3, Connect 2 or 3, then Giannis and Brooke. Man,
Oh, that's scary. And, and,
yeah,
and
for sure.
Doc's gonna be the coach, so Doc's gonna run all the JJ Redick sets for Dawn
Yeah,
Connect too. Like,
floppy,
oh, floppy, good old fashioned floppy for you.
floppy for Connect. I'm just thinking, honestly, just floppy with Giannis being the screener, and then Giannis cutting to the rim, and then honestly, a back action for the other side with like Brooke and Chris. Like, how do you defend that?
Yeah, with Dame as the ball handler, like dog.
Yeah,
You have
I know they don't
five.
have like a
You
5
have 5 dudes.
buckets.
Like,
Yeah,
yeah, that's insane.
yeah,
That man. Another one that I do also like really like here. If we were to go like one more, actually,
right,
this is super random, and I actually more so just want to shout the
right.
player out because I freaking love him. Tyler Collect with Denver solidified that backup spot, and he is like
Yes,
I read Denver Nugget when I see Tyler Collect.
yes,
My comp for him was
I
Goran
agree.
Dragic, and like Jamal Murray, you need a couple games off. All right, cool. Tyler Collect's gonna get the most quiet ass 17 points and 7 assists on insane efficiency. Like,
The way he operates pick and roll, man, is like NBA level. I think the
yeah,
last game they played against, I keep forgetting who like people play.
Creighton.
It's been a while.
Wait,
Crane.
was it Creighton? Yeah,
Oh,
that sounds right. That sounds right.
maybe whoever it was. I remember the last like 10 possessions. It was literally Tyler Kolek pick and roll, Tyler Kolek pick and roll, and every time it was an efficient shot. It was either him going to his floater, or him hitting the big, or him hitting the cutter, or even him hitting like a spot up shooter. Like he's a pure playmaker, man. And me and my roommate for like the entire year had the debate between him and Tristan Noonan and who's like the best point guard in the NCAA last year. I had Kolek, he had Noonan. Honestly, for me, that's like 1A and 1B. Like you can interchange them based on like what they do better, but Kolek is really good. And damn, yeah.
Oh wait, Marquette lost to NC State. Creighton lost to Tennessee. So there we go.
We just keep forgetting NC State today, man.
I know. I promise you that I don't hate NC State. Maybe Eugene does. You know, I mean, hey,
yeah,
I don't hate them.
Beat us. They beat us. That's what started their run. Sky Clark dribbling off his foot, and Virginia not fouling up 3, and us losing to them. But you know, it's not as significant as one play.
The fouling up 3 thing is also really, really interesting because I think, correct me if I'm wrong, the analytics heavily favors foul up 3. Yeah.
That's like where I think analytics is useful. I agree with the foul up 3 because I mean, look at Virginia. Like they could have stopped this whole NC State run.
All right, maybe we get a Marquette Duke Final Four game. That would have been fun. Our Elite 8 game, my bad. That would have been fun.
Or even Duke in the Final Four, right? Yeah.
Wait, what'd you say?
Yeah, it'd be Duke versus it would be Duke versus Purdue instead of NC State versus Purdue.
Yeah.
So that could have been fun too.
Yeah, and then especially if you practice it, like which I would imagine you would, and because it's a special situation, like foul up 3. Right. Now there is a situation for me where I say don't foul up 3, and you just got to play defense. If the ball is set already, and it's like let's say it's side out of bounds, it's way harder in my opinion to foul up 3.
Right.
In that situation.
Right. I think in college this makes a lot more sense because you can't advance the ball.
Yeah.
Why wouldn't you foul, like, let's say 5 to 8 seconds left on the shot and people are inbounding from the other sideline? As soon as they get the ball, foul them. That's like,
or even if you want to like waste some clock here, okay, 2 dribbles, foul. You're not advancing the ball by dribbling with 2 dribbles past half court to get a competent shot off. So like foul up 3. Even in high school, like, you can't advance the ball up the floor in high school either, obviously. So foul up 3.
Except for when I agree with you. One situation, sidelines with like less than like a second left, never foul because they're gonna shoot it. And you can risk a shooting foul there. Yeah. But other than that, I think you should always foul up 3.
Yeah. Oh man. My guy, appreciate you so much for hopping on here.
For sure.
This was really, really fun. Glad we got to be the first official pod for you, which is dope as hell. And we'd love to have you back on the show anytime. Anything you want to plug before we get out of here?
Just shout out Sean for having me on. Check out my Twitter. I hope plug it somewhere down there or something. Honestly, it was really fun, man. Really enjoyed talking hoops.
Yeah. Appreciate it, Eugene, as always. And make sure you guys do follow him. Like I said, I'll put that description. I'll put his Twitter, the link to his Twitter in the description. There we go. I'm sleepy. Till next, everybody. Thank you guys so much for watching, and see you guys in the next one. Peace out.
Peace.